About time you woke up. You had an exciting night, my little pup, so I let you sleep in. Don't expect I'll afford you such luxuries every day. Yes, I'll expect you to be awake no later than sunup. There's too much to be done, and never enough daylight. Considering how last night went, I think we've agreed on one of your duties, beautiful. I don't believe I need to elaborate any further on that. It pleases me that you are eager to serve, but keeping your alpha warm at night is just a small part of my expectations for you. I expect you to be just as useful during daylight hours. Get yourself composed. Once you're ready, meet me outside. You can pack up your encampment while we discuss what your duties will be as a member of my pack. Are you ready? Good girl. I have a shelter close to here. Once you finish packing, we'll head out for it. Bring only what's essential. Clothing, any tools you may have. The tent could be useful. We'll take that. The pots and pans for sure. Utensils, cups, and the like. Everything else we'll leave with your car. We can decide what to do with that later. Material things only concern me when they have a use. Any trinkets you may possess are inconsequential. Leave them. Your human over-reliance on superfluous junk is a dependency I will wean you off from. Oh, really? Tell me then. You came out all this way to the wilderness, and I assume that was quite a distance. Indeed. Yet what did I find when I discovered you out here? Instead of taking in the wonders of the forest, you were glued to your phone. Of course I know what a phone is. We wolfkin aren't ignorant of the modern world. Even if it's true that night had fallen, you could have been relaxing by the fire, or letting the sounds of the woodland lull you to sleep. So why would you travel all this way into the wilds, only to spend your time staring at a screen? Finishing up some last-minute work. Ugh, to think your job wouldn't allow you respite all the way out here. Well, that won't be a problem anymore. You won't be returning. Don't forget that you did submit to me, little pup. You no longer have your old life. Irrelevant. This is the point I'm trying to get across. You needn't worry about any of that anymore. As long as you do as I say, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Correct. We just need to make you a useful member of the pack. Tell me, what would you say you are best skilled at? I don't follow any of that. Analytics? Data visualization? What does that mean? That's your profession. Disappointing. I had hoped for something a bit more practical. That all sounds impressive, but your educational background doesn't translate to a lot of good out here. Don't get me wrong, all knowledge is useful. I'll certainly make use of your information regarding human society. However, I'd be more interested if you knew how to track a deer or build a shelter. You built a fire, that's a useful skill. You have cooking pots, so you can prepare a meal. Nothing so far that any wolfkin couldn't do, but it's a start. Tell me, what do you know of wolfkin society? Just as I thought. Typical. We're not savages as your kind depicts. Just because we avoid contact with humans whenever possible doesn't mean we're uncivilized. No. In turn, we find the way you live to be reprehensible, always fighting against each other for personal gain. We wolfkin live and work together as a pack. We build our own communities and ensure we can provide each other with everything we need. Correct. We aren't just hunters and gatherers. While we pride ourselves on our hunting prowess, it is only a small part of our society. We have builders and artisans. We weave our own clothes, smith our own metals, farm our own food, and build our own lodgings. What we cannot create, we trade for with groups of demi-humans that aren't so averse to dealing with your kind. No matter how talented the smith is, we aren't going to be able to forge a radio. We need some way to keep tabs on you, yes. And so we will exchange what we can spare for things we otherwise can't produce. For example, we trade fur and skins to Arachne that they can incorporate into their textiles, metalcraft to harpies who lack the proper hands to forge it themselves, and crops to predatory races like Lamia, who just don't have the predisposition towards farming. We also make payment through our might and fighting prowess. Mercenaries? Hardly. We only fight when our interests align. Imagine, if you will, there was a border dispute. Now imagine a group we are allied with representing themselves with a pack of wolfkin on their side. Quite the intimidating sight. Of course, not every battle requires payment. We are often hired to take out lichen, or werewolves, if you'd rather use that term. That is a task we are happy to do for free. Every one of those abominations we destroy is a blessing. Naturally, as an alpha, I've led my own forces into battle countless times. I won't expect that of you, of course. Humans are too fragile, and you're far too pretty to risk damaging. For a wolfkin, though, there is much glory to be had. I miss those days. What's that? I don't know what you mean. I'm not hiding anything. You picked up on that, didn't you? You're certainly a clever one. At this point, it should be less of a surprise and more of an expectation. I suppose the clues were there. The fact that I'm alone, that I mentioned we were headed to a shelter and not a village. Even my pillow talk may have been a bit careless. And it wouldn't be the first time I've been careless. I am indeed an alpha. That is to say, I was the alpha of my pack. I led them for many years. But no more. In my time as alpha, I was respected by my friends and feared by my enemies. I led them to prosperity. I had my choice of suitors. All was well. But I got complacent. Lazy. I let my guard down. It was a mistake. In our society, any member of the pack can challenge for leadership. When this happens, the challenger lays down the rules. Most often, it is a physical struggle. However, there have been times in our history when it is instead a challenge of wits, or even a game of chance. But should the challenger be successful, then the victor in turn must be willing to take on all challengers afterwards. So thus, a show of strength and prowess is the most typical. It is how I won the throne, and how I lost it. I was defeated by an upstart young woman. Maybe I've lost a step. Maybe she was just that much better. The result is that I was defeated. The scar on my hip, the one you noticed last night, I got that whilst fighting her. It's never quite healed the way I would like it to. Perhaps it never will, and I will bear that pain for the rest of my days. A defeated alpha has two choices: either submit to the new regime and rejoin the pack, or exile oneself. Obviously, I chose the latter. That's how I ended up out here. I couldn't stay in Wolfkin territory, so I claimed this area for myself. I don't care about your borders. I am aware of them. Doesn't matter. Your kind can try and stop me. I may have suffered a setback, but I'm more than enough to handle the likes of you. Yes, I decided to bide my time, regain my vigor after years of complacency, make myself strong enough again to reclaim my throne. I'll need to have allies. There are those in the pack I know will be loyal to me. I can sway them to join my side, build up a force to be reckoned with, perhaps even convince some more of you humans to follow me. Do I think that will really work? Of course it will. Why would I have any doubts? Regaining control of my pack is the one thought that motivates me to go on. How dare you! I am not being foolhardy. Time has not passed me by. Speak out like that again and maybe you will end up being my victim after all. Yes, for now we may just be one wolf and one human, but... I'm sure others will support me. My people love me. They'll come running to see me put that usurper back in her place. I have to try. If not, then what is left of me? I cannot go crawling back to the village and beg for forgiveness. It would destroy me. What other option do I have? If I am not an alpha, then I am nothing. I know I am an alpha to you. I appreciate it more than you know. But truthfully, what can one wolf and one human hope to accomplish? Come back with you to the city? You can't be serious. Leave my beautiful forest for the smog and filth of your city? The never-ending hubbub of people droning about day and night? I would rather die first. I should have known you wouldn't understand. Leave me. I said leave me. I was a fool to think a human like you could offer me anything. Go now. I release you from my service. Leave me here to wallow in self-pity until I fade away. There is nothing you can do to convince me. You and your pathetic kind can all... Well, I stand corrected. I already know how attentive you can be. I've had many lovers over the years. The wolves always fight amongst themselves to appeal to their alpha. Many have shown great enthusiasm in order to curry favor, but that enthusiasm quickly fades. It always became uninspiring, mechanical, lacking any true passion. But you, my dear girl, you make me feel like I haven't in a long time. You truly want to please me, don't you? Well then, perhaps there is something to new experiences. It will be quite a change, but I suppose a new adventure is more appealing than a rehash of past glories. A life where I can focus less on being the alpha and more on just being Amber. Fine then. You have convinced me, darling. I will go with you to your home. But just because you've won me over, don't forget who is in charge here, little pup. Don't expect to have me on a leash like an obedient little Inu. I'm glad we understand each other. Now, finish packing up your things and load them into your... car. Yes, I've ridden in your vehicles before. I've never enjoyed the experience, though. So much speed and so much motion. It makes me feel... unwell. I suppose I will have to get used to it if I'm to live with you. Now make sure you don't leave a scrap of trash behind. Just because I'm leaving the forest doesn't mean I'm turning my back on it. And you had better take me back here whenever I'm feeling homesick. You hear that, pup? As long as we can share a tent together again. My dear girl, I wouldn't have it any other way. Isn't that just so typical? She says she's an alpha on her Tinder profile. You go over to her place. It's a shelter and not a village, and she doesn't actually have a pack. Freaking catfish.